I don't even know, is this a Swedish thing or not, but it's something I have come to have in Sweden, so I'm classing it as something that has changed about me since I've been in Sweden, because technically it is. We have chutney and cheese in England, which is very normal to me, and I don't know, it's kind of strange, like weirded out that it's so hard to find chutney in Sweden, but usually when you do go for cheese to a cheese place, usually there is like jam, like a fig jam, or I don't know, some weird jam that I disregard because it's jam. I don't know. Anyway, this is specifically like bob jam, which if you haven't tried bob jam, it's strawberry jam. You can get it in different flavors as well, but it's mostly just strawberry jam that is like, it's just made for children. I think we can all agree it's a children's jam. Like, it's full of sugar. It tastes like artificial strawberries. And it's like one of those things that you shouldn't like, but you do. So yeah, that on cheese, I don't know, it's so good. It's so good. Hey, hey, shana shana, tak tak. Hello, hello. It just doesn't work. I don't know why I do this, but this is a mannerism that I have definitely picked up from Sweden. They double up their words and say it twice. Apparently, my friend said it was because it sounds cute. That's why people generally do it. I don't know if that's true. Tell me in the comments if that's why you double up your words. Either way, this is a mannerism that I have definitely picked up from Sweden and just sounds weird when you do it in English, to be honest. I am more forward, direct, and yeah, with people. So subscribe, because I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. Except I'm massively not. I'm on like 600 subscribers. Anyway, subscribe. You should, definitely. But seriously, I am definitely more direct with people. I'm gonna say though, as controversial as you might think this is, English people are direct, but they're direct in a different way. They're direct with like customer service and businesses, but in Sweden, it's more like the other way. They're direct with colleagues and family and friends, and not so much with customer service, I would say. I mean, obviously, I haven't heard that many people talk to customer service, so I'm not really an expert on that. But I would say that's generally how things are. But I am definitely more direct as a person. I don't know, I think it makes life easier. I kind of quite like that about Swedish people, that they've taught me this invaluable skill of being a little bit more direct. It's good. You know where you stand. So subscribe. You know, talking a lot through a video really makes your throat dry. In fact, you know, that's another thing that's really changed about me. I drink copious amounts of water now. Look at this glass. It's like the size of my face. And I drink so many of these a day. Probably easily 4. And actually, I think I drink 5 of these a day. Anyway, yeah, I drink so much more tap water. But specifically tap water, because tap water in Sweden is so much better than English tap water. And I know people tell me in England like, oh, you just have to have filtered water. I'm sorry, filtered water is still crap compared to Swedish water. Here, you can just put your tap on and it's like getting Evian bottled water straight from your tap. It's so good. It's actually tasty, even though water doesn't really taste of anything. What does water taste of? It tastes of nothing, but it tastes good nothing. So, this one's kind of like a don't try this at home. In England, when you're in a supermarket, I can't think of a single supermarket that doesn't have this. There probably is, but I can't think of one right now. You always would, you know, there's like cars parked along this side and you would like walk along where all the cars are parked. And when you get to the end of that row of cars, there's always usually a pedestrian crossing. And all the cars have to wait for you because it's a pedestrian crossing, so it's your right of way. And people usually, you know, thank, even though it's their right of way, they thank the cars for waiting. And that's what I've grown up with. So I came to Sweden and I'm driving into the supermarket and I'm really new. And this woman takes her really small young kids and just drags them off in front of my car. I'm obviously not going that fast because it's a car park, so you don't drive that fast anyway. And I slam on my brakes and I'm like, what the? Oh my God, why did she do that? Why did she just walk out in front of my car? And I'm like getting so like, oh, my heart's like, oh my God. My partner sat next to me like, yeah, because that's how people do it. Like, super cool. Like, that's how it's done. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. Anywho, I then had the flip side of that where my partner was like dragging me through the car park and cars are like having to suddenly stop. And yeah, I've noticed that there's often, I have not found a supermarket yet where there has been a pedestrian crossing. It's just like a given thing that people just walk wherever and whenever they want in car parks, and it's like, yo, this is my car park, I'm going for it. You guys can wait for me. And even if like I've stood on the pavement like waiting for cars and they will just keep going, you have to literally just walk out in front of them. I don't know if this is just a thing for where I'm from or if this is like a Swedish thing as a whole. If you're Swedish, you can tell me. But this is definitely something that has changed about me since I've been in Sweden. I am far less responsible when crossing a car park. And that's your fault, Sweden. You're the bad influence on me with your lack of pedestrian crossings and your, you know, I'm just copying you guys, so don't blame me. Don't blame me. Definitely don't do that if you're a child. Definitely don't. Always look for cars. Both ways. And if you're like me, you look the wrong way because cars are, no wait, which way? It's that way. I always look that way. And cars are coming from this way first. So I check both sides every time because I get confused. I am so much more appreciative of different weather. And I know most people, it's like this stereotypical thing like, oh, Sweden has some shit weather. It doesn't. I really don't think it does. If you're foreign and you're thinking about moving to Sweden and you don't want to because of weather, like, don't listen, honestly. I think the Swedish weather is great. Like, I really do. And I know that's a really strange opinion. But, like, when it's a blue sky, it's really genuinely blue sky. No clouds, just blue from like horizon to horizon. It is so amazing. I mean, in England we always have like white wispy clouds everywhere, even when it's like a really glorious blue sky day. So I think that's amazing. And then, you know, yeah, you get your really rainy time, your really rainy period, but then you get your snowy period, and every season is so distinct. And it really makes you like, I don't know, look forward to it. I love when spring comes because it's been like cold winter, snowy and ice for so long. But then it's still like cold, and I love when summer comes. And then when autumn comes, it's just, I don't know, you really feel every season here. And I definitely am much more appreciative of all the types of weather since I've been living in Sweden. Ah, fashion. I'm so much more fashionable now. No, I'm not. But my fashion sense has changed slightly because I generally wear trainers everywhere now. Which, to be honest, is not a good look for me because I really love little dresses. I'm a big fan of wearing dresses. And slapping on trainers is not like a great look with that, but I do it anyway. But that's such a Swedish thing that has changed about me. I don't know why everyone seems to wear trainers here. They're like always ready to go for a run or something. I don't know. I would typically always wear high heels or dolly shoes. Oh my goodness, I always wore dolly shoes. I love them so much. They have absolutely no support for your feet and they are terrible. And your feet hurt if you have to walk around, and they're super impractical. So yes, I have traded in the pumps for trainers, especially when I'm going somewhere like Gothenburg or something and I want to walk around all day. Then I love having my trainers on me. So yeah, but no, regrettably, I'm not more fashionable. I wasn't very fashionable to begin with either, so yeah. What can you do? I don't talk to strangers anymore. I don't smile at strangers on the street. I go out of my way to make sure that I am as unfriendly as possible. Actively go around with a bitch face. Yeah. Something like, you know, like... How do you even do a bitch face? I don't know. What is a bitch face? How do you do a bitch face? Like... No, I think actually coming to Sweden, I'm even more determined to be polite. And I really carried on my British things because I actually had an instance where I was walking along with a Swedish friend and I was like, thanks to a car on a pedestrian crossing, and they literally were like looking straight ahead and they didn't do anything. They just like sat there, and it was so weird for me. And I was like, that was weird. Why didn't they, you know, say like, you're welcome? That's usually, you know, people are familiar with this, right? Thank you, you're welcome. I don't know. It's a big thing we do in England. And yeah, my friend just said like, you don't do that in Sweden. You do not thank people like you just cross the street. And I was like, oh really? And they were like, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you'd make people feel more uncomfortable like by doing that than if you just like, just leave it, just keep your head down and just walk straight. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did that for so many months, and every time I crossed the road, I felt so guilty. Like, I hadn't said thank you. I felt so rude and so guilty. Anyway, I have since gone back to saying hi to people in the street and smiling at people and thanking cars as I walk across the road, even though it's my right of way on the pedestrian crossing. And yeah, sorry, Swedes. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if it was this one particular Swede that was like very, very introverted, but I definitely go out of my way to be even polite. This change is quite significant to me as a British person. Okay, don't laugh, because it's a very serious matter. I don't always drink typical English breakfast. By the way, if you're Swedish and you're drinking that disgusting tea that says English breakfast but tastes like Earl Grey, please stop. There is PG tips that you can buy in pretty much any supermarket, and that's the real deal. If you want to have a British cup of tea, PG tips and put some milk in. You know what? We're not even going down that route. It's a tangent. I get stressed when Swedes tell me that you should have tea without milk and that English breakfast is Earl Grey. It's not. Why you do this to me? Anyway, look, I stopped having as much English tea because, you know what? Sweden has some really fucking great tea. They have this. This is genuinely tea you can get here. It's blueberry muffin flavoured. You have to kind of leave it for quite a while, and if you add sugar you kind of get more flavour out of it, but it's so good. I mean, you can tell that I like it. I really love this tea, and there's many other teas as well that are really good, and I never thought that I would find a nice flavoured tea. I actually have fallen in love with another tea recently, which is like this one. Camera? Yes? Ah, no. I really like this tea. This is like quite a cheap version of it, so you can definitely get nicer ones, I think. But it's kind of like rose tea. It just tastes like roses, and I know there's definitely like other versions of this that have more flavours in. This one's just like a rose one, but it's really nice, and yeah. Who'd have thought Sweden would change my tea habits as a Brit? Thank you so much for watching and supporting me. If you have made it this far and you're not subscribed, well, gosh darn it, I think you should be. No, seriously, if you are subscribed, I just want to thank you so much for supporting me and for all the lovely comments you guys give me. You just, You just make my day. You really don't know. I really appreciate everyone that takes the time to put really lovely comments. And now as well, I actually have a Twitter. I know, what a shocker. I finally got going with my Twitter. Yeah, so if you want that, I will put the link in the description below, and it's also on my banner page as well as a link. So you can see my Twitter now as well, and you can tweet me questions or whatever you would like to. I also have Instagram, so if you want to see that, then you can check out my Instagram down below. Thanks again very much, and I will see you next time. Bye!